Welcome back to another episode of Fight the Psyops. I'm Joey Vantes, and I thank you for being here with me. All of your support to help grow this channel is paying off. I can see it moving. We're transitioning from YouTube over here to Rumble, and I thank you guys. Now, today, I had the opportunity to hop on live on air with Alex Jones on Infowars.com, and if you didn't get a chance to see it, also streamed on X. Here it is right now. Watch this. Alex, what's going on, man? It's Joey Vantes. How are you?
Good to talk to you, brother.
You as well. We not only had the distractions within the GOP, not only from DeSantis, who's probably going to be dropping out and becoming Haley's VP, but we can talk about Vivek and the situation, including the weird World Economic Forum Young Global Leader 21 accreditation, sues them, and how in the heck in 90 days does he not only win this lawsuit with money, but a written apology from the World Economic Forum? You talk about the GOP, Alex, but I think the distractions on the other side are comparable as well within the Democratic side, right? You have the fact that they're going to install Michelle Obama, pull Newsom up as her VP, and all the hysteria I think that will be created to make widespread panic and cause people to rise up, fight, which will then bring in, as you mentioned, a potential martial law situation, which then Congress can institute the bill that they've already introduced called Disease X. And all of this will conglomerate into one thing. But here's the key to this, Alex. Now, we can talk about those distractions. We can point out all the things that are wrong. But I think in your books, not only The Great Reset, but also your second book that I just picked up as well, you outline the details of how we fight back. And I think that's the key, not only identifying these psyops, but how we can make people wake up, actionable measures to take back our country.
Turn back on the Keystone Pipeline, control the border, demand peace in Ukraine. There's a lot of stuff we can do.
Absolutely. I look at the Declaration of Independence, and it says that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, what is it? It's the right of the freaking people and their duty to abolish it.
Beautiful points. Call me back, Joey. I'll find your show.
Big shout out to Alex Jones and to his team there at Infowars. Had to wait close to about an hour on the phone to be able to get through, but it was a great time to be able to share my take live on air. And, you know, after the show, I had some takeaways. The thing that stood out to me most is that, yes, there are distractions. There's all kinds of things happening in the world. It seems like there's all this negativity. But you know what the beautiful thing is that how are diamonds made? Through pressure. And through all the various pressure that we've been feeling, the intense pressure from all kinds of different things happening simultaneously. People are being pressed, they're being challenged, they're being pushed to their limitations, if you will. But the beautiful thing is that when you push people far enough, it causes people to unify. And I want to show you a clip right now from what's happening in Europe to give you an idea of what humanity does. Check this out.
Some 3,000 tractors, 2,000 trucks, and an estimated 10,000 people crammed the avenue leading to Berlin's Brandenburg Gate. They're protesting against the government's plans for higher taxes on farming operations and for fair prices for their products. The protests have put pressure on Chancellor Olaf Scholz's coalition as it struggles to fix a budget mess, facing fierce backlash. Farmers, with the vocal backing of the opposition Conservatives and the far right, say this doesn't go far enough.
And I don't think there's anything more beautiful than that. So today I wanted to share with you guys something that I believe is going to be one of the next big talking points. Something that's not really being voiced a lot yet, but you're gonna hear this everywhere very shortly. And it's something that's called Disease X. Now, what exactly is Disease X? Well, it's a coined term that they started circulating, which they said it's an unknown pandemic, unknown pathogen that's going to appear out of nowhere, something that we weren't prepared for, that is just going to come out of nowhere, and it's going to be 20 times more deadly than COVID-19. Experts have put numbers together and said somewhere in the range of about 49 to 50 million deaths with something of this magnitude coming into play and, you know, going through populations, spreading like wildfire. But this doctor, this expert, in this field specifically, he said, you know what's interesting about this is I've gone out and I've looked through all the different books, things regarding pathogens and pandemics, etc. And he says, you can't find anything regarding this whole Disease X scheme anywhere. But all of a sudden, as COVID-19 is rolled out, now they're starting to talk about this Disease X. In Congress, there was a bill that was just introduced in September of 23 called the Disease X Act. And I'll put that on the screen for you. It's being introduced and basically stating that they want the ability that in the event another pandemic pops up, to be able to use experimental options to combat Disease X. Experimental options. Okay, well, you say that's not that big of a deal. Yeah, you got to try different things if something pops up that you're not aware of. Okay. The World Health Organization is preparing on the Davos agenda list at the World Economic Forum that takes place in just 2 days, Wednesday, January 17th in Davos, Switzerland, the World Economic Forum that holds their annual meeting. The number one and the top bullet point on the agenda that's going to give everything, it's going to introduce the whole event, is Disease X. And you know what's interesting about it? The World Health Organization is going to be there talking about this Disease X. Not one person who's a keynote speaker within this specific Disease X panel is a physician. I find that to be quite interesting. This is number one on their list, on their agenda that they're going to discuss, they're going to talk about. Nobody's saying anything about this. A pandemic treaty. And guess what? This pandemic treaty, they're hoping to finalize it by May of 2024. They already have agreements from 193 countries who have come together to say, hey, yes, we agree that in the event that this occurs, we are willing to hand over the sovereignty of our country to the World Health Organization so that whatever measures need to be taken, whatever they say needs to happen, or how you need to travel, or what you have to do in terms of vaccines, or where you can go, cards, IDs, all of that, measures within civilizations, populations, societies, they will decide this from a global centralized level. Can you imagine? Now, there are some people in Washington who are saying, nope, we're not agreeing to this. We need to question this. Hey, this needs to go through us. We need to say what happens with our own people. And in this video that I'm about to show you, a couple different videos, it's going to be a collage, if you will, montage. You're going to see what I'm talking about specific to Disease X. So I want you to familiarize yourself with this because this is very powerful on many different levels. And you say, why? Why is it powerful? Why do we even need to know about this? Why is this even going to be a concern? Why are they trying to institute this? Do they really want to kill us and wipe us out? Well, you've seen the videos I've showed you. Whether it's been Ted Turner, whether it's been Bill Gates, whether it's been Rockefeller, whether it's been a number of these global elite who believe there are too many people on this planet using up too much resources. Cow farts are going up into the atmosphere and destroying things and creating all this issue for pollution. And that's what's bringing on this climate change and global warming, climate crisis, which, by the way, has been debunked multiple times by multiple people, including Nobel Prize winners in the realm of experts in that field. But yet they're pushing this. They want to depopulate humanity. It's an anti-Christ move. This is not something that's just coming from people themselves and their own, desire. It is in vain imaginations. These are spiritual things because they've given themselves over to the enemy. They want to depopulate. They have invested themselves into their power and their hunger for power and their hunger for wealth and to possess that status and position. They do not want to let it go. And so because of that, they're willing to get to this point to want to depopulate humanity. It's clear as day. It's wide out in the open. And they're going to push this plan. The other part of that is, well, you say, well, okay, well, if they want to do that, what are you talking about this whole power structure thing, Joey? Well, did you know that there's 40 different elections happening this year in 2024? 40 different structures of power change globally, not just here in the US. There's going to be a major shift in power, a major shift. And they're concerned about that because people are beginning to wake up and see what's actually taking place, and they want to do something about it. They're saying something about it. They're posting about it on social media. They're trying to censor people there. So you have to understand that in the midst of all these different things happening, if we don't stand up and say no, if we don't stand up and tell our policymakers, hey, we're not agreeing to this, we need you to fight back on this. If we don't say something, do something, let them know that we are aware of this, then what happens is they're going to just come in and steamroll us. And that's the goal. That's their hope, is that that will happen, that you won't say anything. I won't say anything. You know, I saw something very interesting before I show you guys this video, and maybe I'll even, we'll play that one after. We'll play this other video for you guys after that I want to show you as well. But I saw this interesting thing. You can actually go on YouTube. I'm going to put the video up, but I'll also give you the link so you can go see it for yourself. There's something called the Mad Scientist Group that's on YouTube. They're part of MIT, the Department of Defense, and a number of other intel communities come together and do these presentations. They go over different assessments and projects that are being rolled out. And this particular project is very interesting. And the video is called The God Gene. And this blew me away. I was like, dude, this is fake. It's absolutely legit. And in this project, what they're trying to do is they said that they can identify in two groups of people. One group of people, those who consider themselves to be fanatics spiritually, fanatics in the sense of their faith, whether it be Christian, Muslim, whatever it might be. And then they can identify people who are atheists and don't believe that there's a God. Now, they can take these groups of people, and when they analyzed with a brain scan the people who are considered to be fanatics of their faith, they have a frontal lobe portion that lights up, right? While the people who don't believe in God, there's a portion on the right side of their brain that lights up, basically in an area that exhibits disgust or disdain for that thing that causes that person's faith to come alive, right? So two people presented with God, presented with faith, and one person lights up and gets inspired. They tap in, they feel good. They're excited about that. They're radical. They're in love with God, right? The other person, complete disdain and disgust for that. So I thought about that, and then they began to go on to say, listen, we have this technology that we want to release, whether through, something that would maybe be an SAI. Someone asks in the crowd, what do you think about using an SAI, a stratospheric aerosol injectable, or something they can spray from the sky through planes that can go down and become a way for them to remove this God gene from people who have faith or are really in tune with their faith, radical in their faith. Then he goes on to say, well, no, we want to do something more like a flu virus, maybe like a COVID type thing, and then we can provide a vaccine. And these things working together will potentially be able to remove this God gene or this interest or this desire or this connection that this person feels that they have to God, so that instead of lighting up on the frontal lobe and connecting, and they use the Muslims as their focal point to say we can unradicalize a radical. And instead, when they hear this message or they feel like somebody's telling them to do this for their God, they will have this disgust or disdain. But I believe really what they're doing is, and maybe they're doing this already. I mean, you guys see the chemtrails and whatnot that are in the sky, depending on where you live around the world. The various efforts that they're making to institute stuff within vegetables and fruits. They're talking about fake meats and all the different things that they're putting into our foods and beverages. Could they not already do this? And they're putting something out to remove that interest, that desire within your own brain and your body to connect to God. So when you hear about the things of God, they're trying to make you get disgusted and feel disdain, and it would be repulsive to you. These are the things that they're after. These are the things that they're trying to do. And I was just blown away at watching this video. So I'm going to show that to you guys after this first one. We're going to go one by one. So wild stuff, guys. Let's start, though, with this Disease X video. This first video is regarding the World Health Organization pandemic treaty that they're trying to finalize, singe up, get signed, and solidified by May of 2024. It's coming very fast, coming hard and fast. Like I told you guys, January 17th, in just 2 days, on Wednesday, they are going to have the World Health Organization speaking at Davos at the World Economic Forum. And number one, and the focal point of the agenda, is Disease X. This all ties in together. Watch this.
We are here today because we are all concerned by the World Health Organization's strong pressure to extend its powers, its structural and its financial capacities with a permanent effect over the sovereignty of the countries and over the self-determination of the people.
I will initiate an independent evaluation at the earliest appropriate moment to review experience gained and lessons learned and to make recommendations to improve national and global pandemic preparedness and response. But one thing is abundantly clear: the world must never be the same.
It is simply unthinkable that you would take an entity that had failed as badly as the WHO failed and award them any more powers. We are talking about global power over the citizens of the world. This organization, which has served us so poorly.
This is from the Health and Democracy Conference, 13th of September 2023 in the European Parliament in Strasbourg. Now, Philip Krauss is one of the lawyers involved in the Citizens' Initiative, challenging the European Parliament to reject the new international health regulations and the WHO pandemic treaty.
It was in the wake of the COVID-19 crisis that the WHO has initiated a reform process which will bring significant changes to all of us, that will concern every human being and every of the 194 member states on this planet.
In 2021, the World Health Organization and dozens of countries declared their intent to work together on a pandemic treaty affecting preparedness, response, and recovery.
Through a series of 307 amendments and a global pandemic treaty, the WHO seeks to gain authority over health decisions of UN member nations that could affect the rest of the world in the case of something like another COVID pandemic.
The WHO...
Animals' health, ecosystem, concerns about the level of CO2 and, of course, human health can give rise to permanent measures and even to a public health emergency, to a pandemic called out and declared by the WHO.
We're in danger of forgetting how important this is, and we need to recommit to pandemic preparedness, because we will not forget. We will learn the lessons, and we will move forward with an accord. We will move forward with pandemic preparedness. We will improve surveillance systems. We will take a One Health approach and manage the ecosystem we inhabit this planet. We inhabit this planet with the animals, with the plants, and we're putting this planet under pressure, both in terms of climate and in terms of the ecosystem.
There is no mechanism foreseen that will allow the people or the member states to challenge the assessment of WHO, whether it is the WHO's assessment about a public health emergency, or their assessment with respect to certain measures, or when it comes to the imposing of a regime for what they call vaccination, as experimental as it might be. There will be simply no stop button for none of the member states, and not, of course not, for us, the citizens.
And top backers of this United Nations move do say speed is of the essence.
And I wish to stress, from our perspective, the quicker we can come together, the sooner we will all be safe.
Some in Congress oppose this move to further empower the WHO. They've proposed legislation that would deem it a treaty. The treaty would require Senate approval.
I've read the treaty. I'm concerned about it. Article 4 pays lip service to sovereignty. You're pushing for it. Next year is probably when it may get adopted. Will it be sent to the Senate for ratification, or are you planning on using the executive agreement, which I think is a terrible way to do things?
It is a matter and a duty for all citizens now to impose the pressure towards their public representatives, political representatives, to make sure that the politicians, the political representatives, understand that they go on beyond of their entrusted vote they can use.
Planned, prepped, and ready to go. They're getting ready to roll this thing out as one more effort for that power grab. And I don't want you terrified of living in fear, because that's not the way we should be. But I want you to be aware. I want you to understand so that you can plan, you can prepare, and you can execute. If we come together and we voice this stuff, that we are aware, and we're not just sitting back, but we let people know, we let everybody know, whether it's our friends, family members on social media, etc. We let these people know we know what's up. It will halt, I believe, and stop their plans from occurring. It will cause citizens to rise up and not fall prey to the same things that we fell prey to with COVID-19. And that's very, very important. Now, the last video I want to show you is that God gene video that I promised to you guys. Unbelievable, wild. Listen, pay close attention, turn the volume up if you need to so you can see what I'm talking about. Very interesting. Nonetheless, watch this.
Excuse me, on the left over here, we have individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics, and this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalist, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach.
What you're suggesting here is by spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior. So we have some very, very remarkable data in this next slide. Here we have two brain scans. These are fMRIs. These are two different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2. On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. This individual lit up the right middle frontal gyrus, shown here, and that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In contrast, in marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious, and when they're read a religious text, what you see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on hearing something.
So you're suggesting I take a CT scan with me when I'm evaluating people to determine whether I put a bullet in their head?
So the data that I'm presenting here supports the concept that we're proposing, and I think that we would not propose to do CT scans or fMRIs on individuals out in the hinterlands of Afghanistan. The virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is it's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. And we think that will have major effects in the Middle East.
How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? The aerosol?
Well, so the present plan and the tests that we've done so far have used respiratory viruses such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's a satisfactory way to get the exposure of the largest part of the population. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses, and we're quite confident that this will be a very successful approach.
This is fascinating. What's the name of this proposal?
Yeah, so the name of this project is FunVax, which is the vaccine for religious fundamentalism.
And you have a proposal already?
The proposal has just been submitted, and I think that the data that I have shown you today would support the development of this project, and we think it has great promise.
I'm going to show you one other video from Dr. John Campbell that I want you to see regarding this whole Disease X situation. and some information that he has specific to this. He's an expert in the field. I mentioned to you he was looking through his books, trying to find information that they were talking about. Couldn't find it. He said, this stuff is made up. Watch this.
I want to be talking about disease X in a minute from a small radio station in Switzerland called Radio Davos, I think it was. This is the World Economic Forum site as far as I can derive. Disease X, this is how we should prepare for the next big virus. Easy to understand while being rather difficult to understand. Now, Disease X, I've been teaching this sort of thing pretty well full-time since 1990. I'd never heard of this Disease X, so I looked at some of my books, because when I wrote my book, I couldn't remember putting it in, so it wasn't in there, but I could easily miss it, couldn't I? So I did check in Rubin's Pathology. These are the definitive texts. Couldn't see it in there either. So I checked in Guyton and Hall, superb physiology book. Not in there either. Porth's Pathophysiology. Not in there either. It's a fairly thick book. You think it could be in there somewhere. You get the idea. Not in that one. Can hardly pick this one up. Pathophysiology. All these standard textbooks. Not in there. So it must be a new disease. Can't say I like the sound of a new disease. We've had a new disease already, haven't we? Anyway, this is just, I want to give you some highlights from the Radio Davos talk. Disease X is looming. The world needs to be better prepared to tackle a future pandemic. And you'll see here that the text is from the World Economic Forum site. They go on to say, by mapping viruses with the potential to become the next disease X, the global health community and governments, can be more responsive the next time a pandemic looms. Looks like they're anticipating another pandemic here. Global collaboration and adequate funding are needed to improve pandemic preparedness and ensure fast action to keep a viral outbreak at bay. It says you can get a long way being able to produce something. Not quite sure what's being produced, but you can produce something or other that will target a novel virus before that virus even emerges. I assume here they're referring to repurposed drugs, which could be rolled out very quickly and very cheaply, and may be efficacious against a range of conditions. Maybe that's what they mean. But anyway, they're going to produce something. Can't read too much into that. All they say is something. Could even mean a vaccine. I don't know, whatever they mean there. Anyway, that will target a novel virus before that virus even emerges. It's a virus we don't know yet, but we do know it's out there. Do we? But we do know it's out there. Now, unfortunately, much to my annoyance and your annoyance, I felt compelled to delete yesterday's video. My apologies. The trick is to live to fight another day. That's what we aim for. But the video I was doing yesterday was examining a particular virus that was experimentally used to infect mice, caused a disease of the brain, and at the end of the study, none of the mice at the end of the study were alive anymore. None of them were alive anymore because a certain event had happened to them that made them not alive. And that virus, my understanding from reading of the paper, was it evolved in cell cultures in a laboratory. So as a result of going through cell cultures in a laboratory, the function of the virus had been increased. It would appear it became a more functional virus. There was a function, and there was potentially an increase, maybe even a gain. Anyway, but we know it's out there. So they know it's out there. Obviously, they don't know a precise geographical location, but they know it's out there. And we know it has the potential to spill over from animal populations potentially into humans. Well, yeah, there can be natural spillover events, of course. There can also be other origins of viruses. Perhaps mutate or adapt itself and then begin spreading and killing people faster than we can contain it. Carrying out research and vaccine development. Carrying out research and vaccine development for known viral families could impact humans, of which there are 25 viral families, they're saying, would give humanity a decided advantage over the next disease, X. So who knows, maybe the World Economic Forum will be good enough to develop a vaccine for us great unwashed, so it's all ready for us. I'll leave it with you. Read the article for yourself. It's all there on Radio Davos. Quite concerning, really, a disease X. They seem to think it's coming. Let's hope they don't know too much more than us. We'll leave it there.
And as we close out for this episode of Fight the Psyops, the numbers have just come in, which I'm going to throw up on the screen for you. One final little video for you guys to see. It looks as if in the Iowa caucuses, the numbers are in. Now, this is unprecedented because no other candidate has ever won the Iowa caucuses by more than 12%. This is a staggering number. Unbelievable that people came out and they voted for the candidate of their choice. Now, there's going to be a lot of uproar, which I'm definitely well aware of, which I hope you guys expect to see as well. But this is what the people have said. The people have spoken, and this is how it's going to be. So let me show you this video real quick.
Newsmax is now projecting Iowa will go to former President Donald Trump. So Newsmax is projecting Donald Trump the winner, and as you can see, 56% of the votes. DeSantis and Haley locked at 18%. Vivek Ramaswamy with a 7%. Mike, your thoughts, first reaction on Trump locking down the nomination very early in the evening?
Well, it's pretty shocking. I mean, within a few minutes, everybody was sort of saying it's over. Donald Trump is going to win. It's not just that he won, but he has won with a margin that is unlike any in the history of the Iowa caucuses. Nobody has ever won with a greater advantage than 12%. Donald Trump is going to end up not only having more numbers than all of the other people put together, but if you take everything that you've been watching in Iowa, people kept talking about it's going to be close. DeSantis is going to be a close second. As it's turned out, none of that happened.
So there it is, folks. I want to hear from you guys. Drop your comments down below, whether you're watching this on Rumble, YouTube, X, IG, Facebook, wherever you're watching this from. Drop your comment. Give me your 2 cents. Let me know what you think about this. Listen, you can also call in, guys, and drop your text messages or your vocal recordings. If you want to leave a message, leave us your question, your take, maybe a topic that you want to discuss. The number is 323-736-1073. Again, 323-736-1073. I look forward to hearing from all of you beautiful people. Thank you so much for tuning in. Look, if you like this, go ahead and drop a thumbs up. Follow me, subscribe to the channel. Okay, hit the bell for notifications so you know when we drop new content. My book, How to Fight Ideological Subversion, teaches you not only how to spot it, how to fight it, how to wake others up in the process as well. Measurable actions that you can take to make something happen. Guys, listen, go do that right now. Links in my bio or in the description, depending on where you're watching this from. I got merch, a sale going on right now for shirts, hats. Get one, pick it up, support what we do. As an alternative media outlet, guys, we can only do what we do because of your support. I thank you so much for all that you guys do. Very grateful for you, and I can't wait to see you on the other side. Continue to fight those psyops. Peace.